I'm Madison Burrell, a pediatric neuropsychologist with the Comprehensive Pediatric Epilepsy team. So today we wanted to talk to you about the risks associated with epilepsy, which includes sudden unexpected death in epilepsy, which is called SUDEP. It is somebody who has died for some unknown reason, and it's not an accident or it's not an emergency seizure such as status epilepticus. Epilepsy has been in the news recently because we've all learned about the death of Cameron Bryce, who is an actor on the Disney Channel, and his death was unexpected. And then his family later told us that he also suffered from epilepsy. So the numbers are changing as we're learning more about SUDEP, but right now we know that about 1 in 1,000 children die from SUDEP. We actually don't know what causes SUDEP. Some people are also investigating that question. Some people think it may have something to do with heart rhythms. Other people think it has to do with breathing, but we're still investigating. What we do know is that there are factors associated with increased risk for SUDEP. And so those are uncontrolled seizures, number one, in particular generalized tonic-clonic seizures, or GTCs. GTCs are convulsions, or what used to be called grand mal seizures, which are when somebody loses consciousness, they're stiffening and jerking, and those are a special type of seizure. The good thing is that there's actually things that a family can do and a child can do to reduce their risk of SUDEP. The most important thing you can do to manage your risk is to take your medications as your doctor prescribed. If you're still having uncontrolled seizures, then it's very important for you to go back to your neurologist. Another thing people can do to reduce their risk of SUDEP is to know their triggers. The range of possible triggers can be having seizures at night, being sleep deprived, having stress, being sick and having a fever, drinking alcohol or taking drugs, and for some women during their menstrual cycle. So it's really important to know your child's seizure triggers and try to avoid or manage them as best as you can. One thing that's really hard is that most parents want to be with their child all the time in fear of them having a seizure. You may want to increase the monitoring of your child, especially at those times when they're at increased risk. So some children who still are having seizures during the night, it might be helpful to have a monitor. And it's really tough to balance that increased monitoring with living your life. And so again, you might want to talk to your doctor about what steps would be appropriate. So one thing that might help families feel assured is that we know for children with uncomplicated epilepsy, the risk of them dying is about the same as any other child dying from an accident or some other cause of death. I think what I want families to know is that there's a possibility of SUDEP, and I want them to be aware of it, but I also want them to do all they can to take care of their child with epilepsy and live their life. Whenever I've talked to families that have had a child that died of SUDEP, the one thing they tell me is that they wish they would have known about SUDEP. So the most important thing for you to know is that it exists and that you need to do all that you can do to reduce your child's risk of SUDEP. You can find more information about epilepsy as well as SUDEP through our website at childrensnational.org, where we will post several links to websites that cover these topics.